This video is about how humans have affected the environment and the populations. Before we talk about the impact humans have on organisms and their environment, let's look at something called biodiversity. Biodiversity is the variety of organisms on Earth. Scientists have discovered about 1.2 million species already, but they estimate that there are actually 8.7 million species on Earth. By the way, a species is a group of animals. So like cats are one species, dogs are one species. Again, scientists think that there are 8.7 million species on Earth, most of which we haven't discovered yet. Unfortunately, since humans have evolved, we have killed off the majority of species that have ever been on Earth. The largest cause of extinction, or death of organisms, is habitat destruction. This means we have destroyed the homes of many plants and animals. Through deforestation, which means cutting down trees, the development of roads and buildings, homes, habitat destruction is the primary cause of species extinction or death worldwide. Another way that humans have decreased biodiversity as a result of killing animals and plants is through invasive species. Invasive species are organisms that come into a new area and grow out of control. For instance, dandelions, they're an invasive species. They don't belong in North America. They came over with human immigrants, and they've taken over fields. Picture in the bottom right shows kudzu. This came over from Japan with some humans on a ship. It came into the south, and now it's taken over the south. This is zebra mussels. They're in the Great Lakes up north. Same idea. They came over on ships, and now they have taken over the lakes. Snakes as well, they came into Hawaii and they've killed off a lot of organisms in Hawaii. They were not originally there. They came over with humans and now they've taken over. So why would these invasive species take over? Why would they grow out of control? Well, when they come into a new area, there's no diseases for them. So nothing kills them because they've never been there before. Nothing has evolved to kill them. They also have no predators. Again, because they've never been there, there's nothing that would be used to eating them. So nothing kills them. They usually have no competitors. Usually they're eating a food source that something is not already eating, so they have no competition. And finally, they have unlimited food, so they grow like crazy, and eventually they take over. And in the end, they tend to kill a lot of organisms in the area because they take up all the food. A third way that humans have decreased biodiversity is acid rain. Acid rain is caused by pollution from factories. When the pollution gets into the air and mixes with the clouds, when it cools and comes down as rain, the rain is acidic. You'll learn more about this later in the next unit, but acidic means it has a low pH. Neutral is 7 on the pH scale, and acid rain is usually a 5 or a 6 on the pH scale. The problem with acid rain is that it kills the plants and fish in the environment, therefore reducing the biodiversity on Earth. Another type of pollution is called climate change or global warming. This is all over the news. If you've ever read a newspaper or watched the nightly news, they talk about climate change a lot because it's really scary. It's happening right now and it has the possibility of killing millions and millions of species. Well, what is climate change? When humans drive cars or burn coal or burn gas, the carbon dioxide that's created goes up into the air. Some amount of carbon dioxide is actually okay because it holds a little bit of heat close to Earth and keeps us fairly warm, so we're not some frozen ice ball. If we didn't have a little bit of CO2, the Earth would be ice. But the problem is we are putting too much CO2 in the air. So instead of holding some of the heat close to Earth and keeping us kind of warm, we're holding too much heat close to Earth, and therefore the Earth is getting really, really warm. This is a problem. Look at this graph. In about 1900, notice that the carbon dioxide concentration, the line in red, is pretty low. And so is the temperature. It's pretty low. But as the CO2 levels increase as a result of burning fossil fuels like gas and oil and coal, because we put too much CO2 in the air as a result of burning those, the temperature on Earth is increasing. You might be wondering why we care about the Earth increasing its temperature. Who cares if the summers are a little warmer or the winters are a little warmer? Well, it's not that simple. There are huge consequences to warming the Earth. The problem really comes in is that if you warm the air temperature, which is what happens, the water temperature also increases. When you warm the water temperature, you change the weather patterns on Earth. You have droughts in some areas and you have floods in other areas. You have glacier or ice melting. When all those glaciers and ice melt, the water levels rise, and therefore sea levels rise, and therefore anything that's on the coast, like Boston, like New York City, like Florida, like lots of parts of Mexico, anything that's on the coast will be flooded, and it will be flooded permanently. People will lose their homes, buildings will be gone, roads will be gone. You're going to have an increase in tropical storms. We're already seeing this. We're having the worst storms in history. Finally, you're going to have mass extinctions, meaning many organisms will die as a result of the change in climate. This is what is going to happen to us if we do nothing. Unfortunately, we're not really doing anything, and we are already in the middle of global climate change. So, in summary, humans have really screwed things up. As a result of human activity, the population sizes of many species have decreased. Also, many species have entirely died out, which is called extinction. We have had mass extinction on Earth. Humans have caused many species extinctions in the last few hundred years. Well, what does this have to do with biodiversity? As a result of humans, we have drastically decreased biodiversity on Earth. Write down your questions and ask me in class.